The one problem that video games struggled with for a very long time was that you were fixed to one place while playing. This meant that if you ever wanted to play games, it had to be in a specific location. Now in the late 70s and the early 80s, many gaming companies were toying with portable systems, and by 1989, Nintendo's Game Boy really helped popularise these portable systems. Less than 10 years after the Game Boy's release, we started to see the emergence of gaming on mobile devices. These things were no longer only useful for texting, phone calls and infidelity, they could play Snake too. But in 2007, a man in blue jeans appeared on stage and made history.
iPhone.
The iPhone was a revolution in the mobile phone industry, and when it introduced its App Store in 2008, the gaming industry was about to be impacted too. The new innovations in touchscreen technology, combined with a platform for people to create apps, combined with a wide screen, combined with the fact that it's a fucking mobile phone device, made this a fantastic platform for games to be developed for. And as many companies each made their own innovations in smartphone technology, it only became better and better for developers. As for portability, smartphones were near perfect. Other portable gaming consoles at this point were still beefy and clunky, and not something that you felt you needed to take around with you all the time. Mobile phones were the opposite. They could fit in your pocket with ease, and were something that you basically always left the house with. So now that we have this platform, so many different apps started to be released over the next couple of years. Some were much more simple and, well, I don't know, it was kind of fun at the time. But some are games that still hold up to this day. It was perfect. Gaming on the go without having to bring multiple cartridges or even a full system with you. Bored at work? Whip out your phone and play some games. Using the toilet? Why not spend an extra 20 minutes there while on your phone? Driving on the motorway? Well, don't use your phone here actually. This took the idea of pick up and play to the next level, because while these games weren't quite as good as console games were at that point, they were just so easy to waste 20 minutes on while waiting for something. And this isn't even to mention the social aspect. I remember everybody getting their first smartphones in secondary school, and suddenly, eye contact was a thing of the past because something like Clash of Clans had just been released. Mobile gaming seemed to be fighting with all their might to be seen in the same way that all other forms of gaming were seen as. Games like Minecraft and Terraria coming to the mobile platform really helped to connect the bridge between mobile gaming and all other established forms of gaming. But ever so slowly, microtransactions completely took over the mobile landscape. See, there are a few different models that the mobile games shape themselves around. There is the premium model, where you pay a small one-time payment for the game. There is freemium, where you get a small portion of the game for free, before either having to pay to continue playing, or have to pay to get most of the actual fun features. And then free-to-play games, which generally either get completely filled to the brim with advertisements, or will have in-app purchases for basically everything. For a long time, it felt that most games were adopting the free-to-play model. This is because not that many people were really big on the idea of having to pay for a mobile game, unless they were sure it was worth it. And it became so much more profitable for companies to include predatory monetization methods. The free game would suck players in, and get them hooked on what was a fun little game. However, the more invested the player got in the game, the less they wanted to wait for things. Clash of Clans was a pretty big one for this. It was a really competitive game, and everybody wanted to have the best base because other players could attack it and steal your, I don't know, coins or something? I can't remember. But upgrading your buildings not only took resources, but time. Candy Crush was very similar. It got people addicted to its game, but then adds limits on how many lives you have. If you don't beat a level, you have the option to either click the big button to solve all your problems, or the sad little button that threatens to take a life away from you. If you run out of lives, you have to, who would have guessed it, wait real world time again. And this completely goes against what was one of the biggest selling points of mobile games. They were supposed to be something that you could pick up and play anytime you wanted, and now you have to wait real world hours? Well, actually no, just give us some of your money and we will grant you the privilege of being able to play our game again. Sadly, a lot of people did pay. Either it was to feed the addiction and get rid of the wall in between you and another level, or it was so that you can compete with the other people that were also paying to get ahead of the curve. These sorts of monetization methods were extremely profitable for companies, often more profitable than just selling the game at a set price. You could get so many more players in by making it free, and even though not everybody was willing to pay real world money on the game, the fact that a lot of people did only reinforced how much of a good idea this was for the companies. If a free game didn't fill its game with microtransactions, then you could bet that you'd see an ad every couple of levels. This honestly makes playing the game more of a chore than anything else. I'm fine with an ad every once in a while, but a lot of games will put one between every 5 levels you complete, and trust me, a lot of these levels are nothing to write home about. I recently went back and started playing some games that I used to love way back when, and it's kinda sad how they needed to destroy the game and fill it with ads to just survive. Half of the game is just watching adverts for other games, which, surprise surprise, are also filled with f***ing ads. These games will also often have elements that make you wait, unless you are willing to watch an advert for some poker company or something else, in which case you're allowed to play the game again for a few minutes. It really does seem like the main way you can play mobile games in the modern era of gaming is to stick with the premium games. Usually, it's better to just pay a set price for a good game, than to get the game for free just for it to be ruined with ads and timers. However, we are now starting to see this option die off. Recently, the company behind Angry Birds, Rovio, announced that the classic version of Angry Birds, you know, the one that saved them from bankruptcy, is being removed from the app stores because it is apparently harming the performance of their other games. Let me reword that for you. They are removing the premium game because people are wanting to play that instead of their other games, which are filled with more microtransactions, which overall make them more money. If we keep seeing this sort of thing happen, there are going to be even less good quality premium games than there currently are, and mobile gaming will just become a predatory storefront filled with addicting cash grabs. I now realise I have just described exactly what it already feels like. When most of the top paid games on the app stores are games that are already available on other platforms, and most of the top free games are filled with ads and in-app purchases, what is really even the point of playing mobile games anymore unless you absolutely have to? Most of the new games being created now aren't anything new or exciting like they used to be. It's just shameless rip-offs of other games that were already ripping off other games anyway. It once felt like mobile gaming was this up-and-coming new way to play games, and would give other platforms a run for their money. It really did feel like they were fighting to be just as credible and respected as console and PC games, just to end up being taken over by more and more monetization, all while the premium games that were worth playing start to die off, and in some cases, get removed completely. What used to be the most convenient way of playing games and passing the time when I was younger, has become the least convenient and the most frustrating. This isn't to say that there aren't still good games on mobile. Again, there are some pretty good ones that don't fall victim to the predatory money-making practices that companies are now using as their main friggin' philosophy. But 10 years ago, the platform didn't look like this. So who knows what it'll look like in the next 10? Maybe the industry will change enough to once again make mobile a great platform for gaming.